Well, as the world now knows, the breaking news of the night is that Donald Trump is sinking deeper and deeper into the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, with reporting from the Wall Street Journal tonight describing a birthday letter to Jeffrey Epstein on the occasion of Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday. The Wall Street Journal says the letter bears Trump's name, and that letter's final line says, "Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." And Donald Trump's latest panic response to what is now a fully out OFC control situation for the Trump administration is a post on social media within the last hour saying, "I have asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. It is entirely possible that the court will not approve the release of any of the grand jury testimony in the case because Jeffrey Epstein's co-defendant and convicted co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, is still an active litigant in the case appealing her conviction, and the grand jury testimony was used in the prosecution of Ghislaine Maxwell. If she's successful in that appeal, she could have a retrial that could include some of that grand jury material. A judge might want to protect all of that, and the Epstein files that people want to see, that Trump supporters have demanded to see for years, include much, much more than grand jury testimony. It includes FBI reports, FBI notes, prosecutors' notes, endless streams of paper far beyond just grand jury transcripts. And the Attorney General knows that. And that's why Pam Bondi responded to Donald Trump on social media saying, quote, "President Trump, we are ready to move the court tomorrow to unseal the grand jury transcripts." And that won't do it. That will not quiet the revolt in Trump world about this, because with the publication of that story by the Wall Street Journal, Donald Trump has now sunk to the lowest point in his presidency, because this story, and only this story, has separated Donald Trump from some of his most fervent and frenzied supporters in the past, who are now in a frenzy of outrage about Donald Trump blocking the release of the Epstein files, which according to the Wall Street Journal contain that birthday message bearing Trump's name to Jeffrey Epstein in 2003, when Jeffrey Epstein was, according to criminal evidence developed years later, routinely raping children, especially 14-year-old girls, which was apparently the target age for Jeffrey Epstein in the selection of his victims. That's when this letter was addressed to a child rapist bearing Donald Trump's name that said, "Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret," in the middle of what we now know was Jeffrey Epstein's dedicated pursuit of child rape victims. That was Jeffrey Epstein's biggest secret at the time. We don't know what the secret the letter is referring to. We don't know if Donald Trump knew that Jeffrey Epstein was an unrelenting, predatory child rapist at the time that Donald Trump was friendly with Jeffrey Epstein, to the point that Jeffrey Epstein described Donald Trump then as his closest friend. You know how much trouble a politician is in when stories like this break? Not that there's ever been a story like this, but when scandals break, you know how much trouble the politician's in by the reactions to the story. There are several people mentioned in the Wall Street Journal report. Donald Trump is just one of them. Other people mentioned in that report include Jeffrey Epstein's former lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, and Jeffrey Epstein's largest financial benefactor, billionaire Leslie Wexner. No one mentioned in the Wall Street Journal report tonight disputes anything in the report except Donald Trump. There is a letter in that same collection of birthday letters from Alan Dershowitz and another one from Leslie Wexner. When reached by the Wall Street Journal, Alan Dershowitz said, quote, "It's been a long time, and I don't recall the content of what I may have written." Billionaire Leslie Wexner, quote, declined to comment through a spokesman, so no dispute from them about the reporting on them and their birthday letters to Jeffrey Epstein. Reporting by the Wall Street Journal tonight, the Wall Street Journal reports about the documents which NBC News has not independently verified. Justin Maxwell's collected letters from Trump and dozens of Epstein's other associates for a 2003 birthday album. According to documents reviewed by the Wall Street Journal, pages from the leather-bound album assembled before Epstein was first arrested in 2006 are among the documents examined by Justice Department officials who investigated Epstein and Maxwell years ago. According to people who have reviewed the pages, it's unclear if any of the pages are part of the Trump administration's recent review. The Justice Department, run by Donald Trump's Attorney General, Pam Bondi, has control of the entirety of the Epstein files, including the Epstein birthday material quoted by the Wall Street Journal. The Justice Department officials didn't respond to requests for comment or address questions about whether the Trump page and other pages of the birthday album were part of the AY's recent documents review. The FBI declined to comment. So the Justice Department does not dispute one word of the Wall Street Journal reporting tonight. The FBI does not dispute one word of the Wall Street Journal reporting tonight. Not one word. In Alan Dershowitz's birthday letter to Jeffrey Epstein, he made a joke about Bill Clinton. The Wall Street Journal report tonight says, quote, Trump, along with others, including Clinton, also appeared several times on flight logs for Epstein's private jet. A spokesman for Clinton referred to a 2019 statement that former President Clinton had cut off ties more than a decade before Epstein's second arrest and didn't know about Epstein's alleged crimes. So Bill Clinton, another person mentioned in the Wall Street Journal reporting tonight, does not dispute a word of the Wall Street Journal reporting. The only person mentioned of the Wall Street Journal reporting tonight who is disputing that reporting is Donald Trump. Here is the Wall Street Journal's description of that birthday letter to Jeffrey Epstein. The letter bearing Trump's name, which was reviewed by the Journal, is body like others in the album. It contains several lines of typewritten text framed by the outline of a naked woman, which appears to be hand-drawn with a heavy marker. A pair of small arcs denotes the woman's breasts, and the future president's signature is a squiggly Donald below her waist mimicking pubic hair. The letter concludes, "Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." In an interview with the Journal on Tuesday evening, Trump denied writing the letter or drawing the picture. "This is not me. This is a fake thing. It's a fake Wall Street Journal story." He said, "I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women." He said, "It's not my language. It's not my words." He told the Journal he was preparing to file a lawsuit if it published an article. "I'm going to sue the Wall Street Journal just like I sued everyone else." He said the Journal offered a full description of the birthday letter without reproducing a copy of the birthday letter in their reporting. Inside in the reporting says inside the outline of the naked woman was a typewritten note styled as an imaginary conversation between Trump and Epstein, written in the third-person voiceover. "There must be more to life than having everything." The note began, "Donald, yes there is. But I won't tell you what it is, Jeffrey. Nor will I, since I also know what it is, Donald. We have certain things in common, Jeffrey." "Jeffrey, yes we do. Come to think of it, Donald. Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that, Jeffrey? As a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you, Donald. A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." The year before that 2003 letter was written, Donald Trump supplied this quote to New York Magazine for a profile of Jeffrey Epstein. "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it. Jeffrey enjoys his social life. His social life led to criminal charges in Florida, for which he made a sweetheart deal with Florida prosecutors, and then years later, federal charges of sex trafficking in New York, which led to Jeffrey Epstein's death in federal prison during Donald Trump's first presidency. With Donald Trump's administration in complete control of federal prisons. In the first year of the Trump presidency, the first Trump presidency, Jeffrey Epstein told Trump biographer Michael Wolff in a recorded interview, quote, "I was Donald's closest friend for 10 years. The Trump White House reaction to this story tonight has been chaotic and continues to be chaotic." At 8:33 p.m., Donald Trump posted on social media his threat, and only his threat, it's just a threat, to sue the Wall Street Journal, saying the Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch personally were warned directly by President Donald J. Trump that the supposed letter they printed by President Trump to Epstein was a fake, and if they print it, they will be sued. Mr. Murdoch stated that he would take care of it, but obviously did not have the power to do so. The editor of the Wall Street Journal, Emma Tucker, was told directly by Caroline Leavitt and by President Trump that the letter was a fake. But Emma Tucker didn't want to hear that. Instead, they are going with a false, malicious, and defamatory story. Anyway, President Trump will be suing the Wall Street Journal, News Corp, and Mr. Murdoch shortly. Donald Trump has issued an uncountable number of threats to sue people who he has then chosen not to sue. Rupert Murdoch has the power to stop the Wall Street Journal from publishing anything. Rupert Murdoch and the Wall Street Journal facing a lawsuit threat from Donald Trump, and going forward with their reporting is a very strong statement by them in their own confidence in the Wall Street Journal's reporting. Before Donald Trump posted that on social media tonight, his vice president got out ahead of Donald Trump on social media and said something that Donald Trump refused to say in his own social media post. What J.D. Vance wrote tonight could be his first big move to become the next president of the United States without waiting for the next election. Because what J.D. Vance wrote tonight adds fuel to the fire burning in Trump world about the Epstein files, which now will burn all the hotter because of the Wall Street Journal's reporting tonight. J.D. Vance said what could be the most harmful thing anyone on the Trump team could say tonight. In his social media post, J.D. Vance used Donald Trump's new favorite form of public presidential profanity. In J.D. Vance's best imitation of Donald Trump, J.D. Vance wrote, "Forgive my language, but this story is complete and utter bullcrap. The Wall Street Journal should be ashamed for publishing it. Where is the letter? Would you be shocked to learn they never showed it to us before publishing it?" Does anyone honestly believe this sounds like Donald Trump? And in another post, J.D. Vance wrote, "Doesn't it violate some rule of journalistic ethics to publish a letter like this without showing it to the victim of this hit piece?" The answer is no. It does not violate journalistic ethics. And the worst thing that can happen to Donald Trump is for the Wall Street Journal or anyone else to release publicly a copy of that letter. The worst thing that could happen to Donald Trump is exactly what his Vice President J.D. Vance is demanding tonight. J.D. Vance, the person who would move up to the presidency if this issue becomes so difficult that it drives Donald Trump out of the presidency through impeachment or resignation. We have seen this happen to a president before, and Donald Trump has never been weaker. And J.D. Vance, J.D. or Vance of all people is saying, "Show us the letter," demanding to see the letter. Donald Trump did not dare to say where is the letter in his social media post tonight, which occurred 40 minutes after J.D. Vance's social media post tonight. Donald Trump is not asking to see that letter. Donald Trump doesn't want you to see that letter, but J.D. Vance wants you to see that letter. If J.D. Vance creates a groundswell demand by more and more Trump supporters for the release of that letter, that could do more damage to Donald Trump than anything that has ever happened to Donald Trump in his entire political career. And it's J.D. Vance who's doing this once again tonight in Donald Trump's public comments about Jeffrey Epstein, who he used to call a terrific guy. Donald Trump portrayed himself as a victim and only himself. In Donald Trump's mind, he's the only victim in this story, and as usual, he does not have one word of sympathy tonight to offer Jeffrey Epstein's real victims. And I'm going to read to you the words of just one of Jeffrey Epstein's 14-year-old victims from an interview she gave in 2019 after Jeffrey Epstein was arrested by then the Trump Justice Department during the Trump presidency, which is when the Epstein files were created. I will not mention her name tonight or show the video of the interview that she did so as not to subject her to that pain. She was asked, "Did Jeffrey Epstein rape you?" She said, "He raped me, forcefully raped me, and knew exactly what he was doing, and I don't think he cared. What hurts even more is that if I wasn't afraid to come forward sooner, then maybe he wouldn't have done it to other girls. I feel really guilty to this day. I feel really guilty." That's a feeling Donald Trump has never had. He has never felt guilty about anything. He's never felt really guilty. He doesn't know what that feeling is. 14-year-old girls raped by Jeffrey Epstein suffered and suffered again and suffered again. And Donald Trump cannot bring himself tonight to offer them a word of sympathy as their experiences are flashing back to them in a world that will now be saturated with coverage of Jeffrey Epstein. Those 14-year-old girls suffered the unspeakable experience of rape, and then they suffered from their own feelings about it afterward. And many of them have suffered, as they've said, from feeling guilty. One of them, whose suffering never stopped, took her own life just 3 months ago. Even after receiving funds from a victim compensation fund set up using Jeffrey Epstein's vast wealth. The money was no compensation for the suffering. Imagine what those girls felt when they read Donald Trump in New York Magazine saying Jeffrey Epstein is a terrific guy. The 14-year-old girl whose account of being raped by Jeffrey Epstein I just read to you was raped by Jeffrey Epstein in the same year that Donald Trump told New York Magazine that Jeffrey Epstein is a terrific guy. And yes, this story is about a stunning turn in American politics. And yes, this story is about a president of the United States. Yes, this story is about a child rapist who died in federal prison while Donald Trump's administration was in control of all federal prisons. But the power of this story to bring down Donald Trump does not come from the Wall Street Journal. It does not come from Rupert Murdoch. The power of this story to bring down Donald Trump does not come from the Trump fanatics who are now turning against Donald Trump tonight. The power we need to talk about what just detonated in the political universe because VP Vance has gone full shockwave mode and the establishment is sweating bullets tonight. Vance is demanding, not asking, demanding that the Wall Street Journal release the Trump letter to Jeffrey Epstein. And the timing could not be more explosive. You can feel the tension in the air. This isn't just some dusty correspondence from decades ago. This is a political grenade wrapped in allegations tied to a convicted child rapist with Trump's name in the blast radius. And here's the thing that's lighting up every newsroom in America. The Wu Jay reportedly has the letter. They're sitting on it. They have something that Trump swears he didn't write, something that could shatter him if its contents match what insiders say is swirling behind the scenes. And why is Vance doing this now? Because the Epstein scandal isn't fading, it's metastasizing. Every week brings new reporting on Epstein's crimes against 14-year-old girls, new survivor testimonies, new flight logs, and yes, renewed coverage of Trump, Clinton, and a whole roster of elites boarding Epstein's private jet. And Vance sees the opening. Vance sees the lane. Vance sees a political vacuum forming around Trump, and he is stepping right into it. This is a power move, a populist gambit, a presidential chess piece sliding across the board in real time. Vance is framing this as transparency, accountability, a moral stand. But let's be honest, it's also a calculated strike. If this letter truly exists, if the WSJ drops it, Trump's denials could collapse overnight. Vance knows that. Trump knows that. The media definitely knows that. And the billionaire class that Epstein mingled with for decades. Oh, they're very aware of what this could trigger. What's wild is that Trump's camp is threatening lawsuits over the letter without even seeing it. That tells you everything. If you're confident, you demand the release yourself. If you're terrified, you threaten litigation. And Trump, who has never once shown guilt, remorse, or shame, is acting like a man who knows the walls are getting closer. The truth is, Trump's downfall might not come from Congress, the DOJ, or even the media. It might come from the young girls Epstein victimized, whose voices, after years of being silenced, are finally being heard. Their testimonies are resurfacing, reshaping the narrative, redefining the stakes, and Vance is positioning himself on the side of the survivors, the public, and the people who are sick of elites protecting elites. This is one of those moments where you can feel history pivoting. The political ground is rumbling. And if that letter drops, if the Wuj finally caves, everything Trump has built, every ounce of his political myth-making could detonate on impact. Stay tuned because this story isn't slowing down, it's accelerating. And Vance just hit the